Good morning, everyone. I hope you all are doing well. So, in this video, I will go over Lab 3, which was um, the lab that you worked on probably last week. Now, most of you requested this video because you said that the questions were getting more difficult, more complicated, and that is true. For starting from Lab 3, questions will start becoming a little bit more complex, and that is your cue to actually start preparing for your exam because your exam is in week 7 probably, and so you don't have any break before this specific week, before your exam week, and you need to be prepared for the exam. So if you notice that the questions are getting a little bit more difficult, then it is, I think, time for you to start practicing, because by the time we reach unit 5, it will become more complex because every unit builds on top of the knowledge that you've gained from the previous unit. So just wanted to let you all know about that. And so yeah, I'll go over the lab and I'll show you how to solve these questions. So for the first question, it says, in this exercise, we will use the scanner class to read in a series of values from a user and print it out to screen in a specific format. Your task is to write a program, the class name is EX1, that will prompt and read from the user details in the following sequence: full name, age, nationality. Your program should output the information in the same format in the example below. And there's a hint as well, which says don't forget to import the import statement for scanner, and then you can use the /n to print a new line. Now, this is how your program should run. You might notice a new column here which is called input, and every single line represents a different input that is given by the user. So in this question you have 3 inputs that are given by the user. In your case, the inputs come from the program. We've coded that already. So your job is to just read these and save them in the correct objects or variables, and then print them according to the print statement at the end. Now in this question, the class name is given to you, so you should use the same class name. If it is not provided, then you can name it whatever you want. So for instance, we will start with public class EX1 and put the curly brackets and press enter. Why I suggest this way instead of just adding the brackets yourself is because some of you who are new to coding, you forget the bracket. Sometimes you add extra brackets, sometimes you forget a bracket. The best way to code is with the brackets is you put the bracket, the curly braces, whatever you call it, and press enter, so it automatically closes the braces for you. The same thing for public static void main string brackets arguments braces, press enter, and it closes it for you. And you notice that the cursor is also formatted or indented to the correct place for you to write your code in the correct format. This is important because there are marks for formatting your code as well. Okay, if you write all the code like this, for example, without any format, you will lose marks. If it is, even if the code is correct but it's not formatted the way it should be written, then you will lose mark for it. So again, you just follow the same, like put the brace, press enter, and it automatically formats everything for you. So for example, here, instead of adding the bracket myself, put the bracket, press enter, and it adds the bracket for you. Now we need to use the scanner object because whenever you want to read data from the user, you have to create a scanner object. And we said the way we create an object is scanner, which is the name of the class. Give it whatever name you want. So for example, input is equal to new, the word new is very important here, and then scanner. So this word and this word are the same, okay, when you create an object usually. And then you write system.in. System.in represents that you're going to use this scanner object for reading input. Just like system.out is for printing, system.in is for reading. Okay, and then after that, you need to, now because I've added the scanner, if I just click on pre-check right now, even though my code is fully correct, it will give me an error, and that's because my code on line 3 cannot find the symbol scanner. So this arrow represents this is the error. It doesn't know what is scanner because you never created anything called scanner. And anytime you want to use scanner, you have to import scanner class. And in order to do that, you have to write java.util.scanner semicolon. This scanner, and this scanner are the same, and it has a capital S. A lot of you, I've noticed, you make the mistake of using small letter s here. Okay, now I have the scanner. Now I have to prompt the user. This is called prompt. When you print something for the user, in order to get any value or input from the user, that is called prompt. Okay, so, and the reason I'm explaining this word is because this word can be in your questions as well, like prompt the user for this. So you should know what is prompt. So copy the prompt and then system.out.println, paste the text, and then semicolon. Now you have to read for when the system prints, please enter your name, you have to read the name, which is a bunch of characters, and it has a space in the middle. So it's multiple words, right? So in order to read name, or in order to read text that has multiple words, we use next line. So first of all, use the scanner object dot next line. Next line for multiple words. If this was just one word, you could have just used next. So next works with only reading one word, and next line will read multiple words. Okay, here we have two words, Ali and Ahmed. That's why we used next line. And then this part is responsible for reading the name, but you have to store it somewhere so you can access it later on, because I need to print the same name later on. If I don't store it, I don't have access to it. So in order to store text which has multiple characters, we use the object string. I will name it name equal to input. So this part reads the name from the user, and this part stores the name in a string object called name. Similarly, I have to read the age from the user. So I will print system.out.println, please enter your age. And then age, if you notice, it's a number. So for that, we have a method called input, which is the name of the scanner. So whatever you name it here should be the name that you use here. Input.nextInt is used for reading integers. And because you're reading an integer, you need to now store it in an integer. So I will name it int age is equal to input.nextInt. So this part reads the age as the number from the user, and this part is storing the number in an integer variable. And then finally, please enter your country of birth, which is system.out.println. Please enter your country of birth. Now here in this example, the country is just one word, but the country name can have multiple words as well. For example, Saudi Arabia, it has two words, or United Arab Emirates, it's another, like it has multiple words, right? So the ideal way is to write string country is equal to input dot next line. But the problem here is, okay, I'll show you the problem once we run the code so that you can see it in real time. Now, this will read the name of the country and it will store it in a string object called country. Now I have to print all the details that the user gave me. So it should be system.out.println, and in the brackets I have to print all of this. I'll just copy this, paste it here. Oh, 1 second. Copy it, paste it here. Always make sure that whatever you put in the print statement, the text is in green color. If it's not in green color, it is incorrect. There's an error. Now, instead of this name, it should be the name that I have. So I will remove it, put double quotes, and between the two double quotes put plus, and between the plus put name. Okay. Similarly, remove the number, put double quotes, 2 plus, and age. Remove the country name. Now here at the end, because the country is at the end, there is nothing after that. I just need 1 plus and then country. If there was something after the country, then I need another plus and then quotations, but it's not required because country is the last thing that is being printed. All right, now if I click on pre-check, okay, the problem here is it is printing, hi Ali Ahmed, you are 55, born in, but the country is not printed. The reason is because when we use next int and right after taking an integer input, we try to take next line, it causes an error. There's a bug, okay? To get rid of this bug, what you can do is copy this and right after next int, paste next in, right after taking the integer input here, just put this line simply to remove the bug. Now if I run the code, it should work because it will take the country name and it's printing the country name. In this case, you could have just written next and it would work instead of writing next line. If I just write next and get rid of this, it will work the same way. The only problem is when you use next line after taking a next int input, the error happens, and for some reason when you write for some reason it doesn't read the input. Okay, now it's not an error, but you see that there is a new line here, there's an empty line here, and then my print the content is being printed. But in my case there is no empty line. So in order to add that empty line, what you can do is just before hi, put /n, no space, /n and then no space, and if you click on check now, it will add a new line between the prompt and the print. Okay, this symbol is to add a new line in your code. Now if you click on check, this is the code you have. Now you must have noticed in pre-check there was only one row of text of test, but in check you have multiple rows, and that is because that can happen in your exam as well. That is because we're testing your code against multiple situations to see if you've written the correct code as requested in the question. So in your exam, the similar situation can happen. You have some tests that are in pre-check, some in check. Okay, not all of them are going to be the same. Okay, that is your first question. For the second question, you're supposed to write Java application, class name is identity, perform the following, read your first name, convert it to uppercase, convert it to lowercase, and print that length. So you have to prompt the user, and you only have one input from the user, which is the name of the user, and all you do is you print their first name, their name in uppercase and their name in lowercase, and the length, how many characters are there in their name. Okay, now there's a hint that if you don't understand, or let's say if you don't remember how to change characters in a string to uppercase, you can always Google things. And one search query that is given to you is you can Google convert string to uppercase in Java, and you will find one of the solutions will show up in Stack Overflow. Now Stack Overflow is a good website for developers. If you ever have questions, you'll always find the solution on this website. This is like the go-to website for every developer. So this is just for your knowledge. If you don't understand or if you don't remember something, it's always helpful when you Google things, because other developers might have faced the same issues. All right, so for this question, you have to start with public class identity, public static void main string brackets arguments, and you need scanner to read input. So scanner input is equal to new scanner system dot in, and then you write the import, because you're using scanner, import java dot util dot scanner. Now you have to prompt the user, so please enter your full name. So system dot out dot println, and then string name is equal to input dot next line. Now all you have to do is print the name of the user in this format: uppercase, lowercase, and then the length. So print ln. Now your name in uppercase is Ali Ahmed. Ali Ahmed needs to be replaced with the actual name. So I have the name stored in the name object, dot to uppercase. This method will change the name to uppercase. Now notice these two brackets are for the method. So this is how it would look like again: name dot to uppercase, and then brackets. Okay, and then this bracket is for ending the print ln. Okay, and the same thing for the next one. So system dot out dot print ln, your name in lowercase is, and then Ali Ahmed needs to be replaced with name dot to lower case. You don't need to put the space, I'm just putting it for you to see it. This way is also correct. And then finally you need to print the length. So system dot out dot print ln, the length of your name is, and then there's a method called name dot length that gives you how many characters are there in this object. Now I'll just click on check, because I think it is mostly correct, but let's see. Check, and yes, it passed all the tests, and yeah, you get the mark if it's all correct. Now for the third question, you have to create a program with the class name initials. So public class initials, and then public static void main string brackets arguments, and here again you have one input, so we need the scanner object. So scanner input is equal to new scanner system dot in, and because you're using scanner, don't forget to put the import. So import java dot util dot scanner, and then prompt the user. So please enter your full name. System dot out dot println, please enter your full name, read the name and store it in a string object. So input dot next line, because why next line? Because you have multiple words. Now you have to print the initials, and you have to also print the family name. Now this is a little bit tricky. Now we know, okay, the initials are the first letter of the first name and the first letter of the last name. In order to find the first letter of the first name, it is very easy. You can just say car at 0. So give me the character that is stored at the 0 index. Then there is another, the trick here, or the complex thing here, is how do I find the first letter of the second name? Because here, let's say the first name has, I don't know, let's assume 10 characters. Now how will I know the second name starts at the 11th index or the 10th index, which index does it start at? I don't know that. So like the first name here had 3 characters. My first name has 7 characters. Someone else's first name will have 10 characters. So how do you know where does the second name start from? Like what is the index of the second name? So in order to do that, the trick here is to find where the space is. So look for the space and get the position of that space. Once you know the index of the space, then you can like figure out the character right after the index is the character of the second name. So for example, if this is at index 10, then this is the first letter of the second name is on index 11, right? Similarly, if in this case the space is on index, so 0, 1, 2, 3, the space is at index 3, but the first character of the second name will be at index 4, right after the space, the index of the space. So all you do is get the index of the space, add 1 to get the next character, and then use substring to get the last name, because the second thing we need to print is the last name. So get the index of the space, add 1 to get the next character, and then use substring from that specified index until the end. Let's see how that would look in code. So for now, to get the first character, I would write name.car at 0. This will give me a character at the 0 index. Okay, but I need to store it somewhere so I can access it later on. So I will use car first is equal to name.car at. Why? Because this will return a character. So I will have to store it in car. And then car second, we said we need to find the index of the space. So just before this, what we can do is write int index is equal to name.index of space. This means go to the name object, find the index where you find the first space. So it will go to the name object, it will look for space, and whatever is the index, it will add it in index. For now, to find the second character, it should be name.car at first index plus 1. Okay, this will take this is this index of the space. You just add 1 to it and give me the character that is at that specified index. And finally, if I want to get the family name, which is multiple characters, so it will be stored in a string, family is equal to name dot substring index plus 1. Okay, and then finally just print it out. So system.out.println, your initials are p dot. Instead of p, I need to write the first character, and then instead of the second p, I need to write the second character. Okay, and for this one as well, system.out.println, remove the last name and add the family name. Now if you press on check, it is correct, and it works for any number of characters in the first name and the last name. Okay, and notice it gave here J and then Z for this particular name, and then Zabutsky for the last family name or last name, and then here Manning for the last name again. Okay, now for this one, write an application. Okay, the code is already given to you. All you have to do is read the radius from the user and find the circumference and area of a circle. Okay, so again we need scanner input is equal to new scanner system.in, we need to prompt the user. So print system.out.println, and then this is a number. For now it looks like it is, the input is integer, but I'm assuming, okay, let's try with integer. So int radius is equal to input dot next int. Now you have the radius. You need to find the circumference, which is of type double, and area, which is also of type double. So I will create double. Circumference is equal to, the formula is given to you, the circumference is 2 pi r. So 2 multiplied by pi, the value of pi is stored in the math class, so you can use it from there. Math dot pi times radius. This is the circumference, and the area is pi r square. So math dot pi r square. For that you can use power, so math dot power radius square. Okay, and you have to display the result as shown here. So it will be system.out.println. Instead of the number, we have to print the number, the value that we have for circumference, and then instead of the area value, just replace it with the value that you have in the area variable. So system.out.println, remove the value, area. Okay, now there's a few things missing here, but let's see how it works. Okay, it shows me that the first one is incorrect, the second one, all of them are incorrect, and for the last one there is a runtime error, and it happened on line 9. So line 9 is in error. Why? Because the input we were provided with was 7.4, and we're trying to read it as an integer. So one of the checks tells us that the input is not of the type integer, it is of the type double. So I will change it to next double, and this will be also double, to get rid of the what is it called, the runtime error. But even after changing that, there is a problem in the values that are printed for circumference and area. If you notice here, the value is only 2 digit after the decimal, but for us it is really long, so we need to change it so it only has 2 digits after the decimal point. And so how can we do that? We have a decimal format class for that, and in order to use it you need to create an object, just like how we create an object for scanner. So decimal format fmt is the name, you can name it whatever you want, new decimal format. Now in the format you need to specify, in the brackets you need to specify the format you want. So for example, it can either be, you can either use 0 or you can use hash. Okay, I will show you the difference. If I use hash.00, hash.hash, let's say, this means before the point any number, and then after the point you want only 2 digits. Okay, if I click on check, oh sorry, my bad, I had to use the, okay, this is the thing, once you create the object you can't, it wouldn't be used if you don't really use the object. So fmt, whenever I want to print the value in the 2 digits of the decimal, I have to write fmt.format, and in the bracket I need to put the value that I need to format, fmt.format round brackets and then the value. Similarly, fmt.format bracket area. Okay, so now if we check this, now the first two are correct, but the last one is not correct. And the difference is, if I click on show differences, it tells me for this value, the 0 was printed, and for this value, the 0 is omitted. That is because of hash. If you use hash, it omits the zeros. If there is a value, it will print it, but if that value is 0, it will omit it. But if you put 0, 0, it will print all the values including 0. Okay? So if you notice it now, it should print the 0. Okay, and now all the tests are correct. Okay, and the final one, this is an important question, maybe not in terms of the midterm, but definitely in terms of the final, and that is because of the use delimiter. Now you have to create a program, and the class name should be called ISBN. You prompt the user for ISBN of a book, which is international book number, I think. And each of these digits represent certain piece of information. You need to read this whole number in the same format, and then provide what number belongs to what. So the first number belongs to language, the second number is publisher, the third number is book, and the last number is check. Okay, now how do we write this? So you would write public class ISBN, public static void main, string brackets arguments, and then import java.util.scanner. So scanner input is equal to new scanner system.in. Then you prompt the user system. These lines don't, like the empty lines don't matter. You can either put them or leave them. You don't have to follow it religiously the same way that I'm writing it. Prompt, and then store it. Now this one, if you think all of them are numbers, so maybe we can store it as a number, but that's not correct because of these dashes in the middle, because they are characters, and so we can't store this value as a number, so we will use it as a string. String ISBN is equal to input dot next. You can use next or next line. It's the same thing in this case because there's a no space that is separating, like it's only one whole word. Okay, and then finally you need to dissect it. You need to break this string wherever you find a space, wherever you find a dash, so that you can get the numbers separated. And the way of doing that is by using another scanner object. I will call it parts is equal to new scanner, but this time instead of writing system.in, you will provide the string that you want to break. So in this case, I want to break ISBN, and I need to provide how I should break this. So delimiter. Okay. Now there's a method that belongs to the scanner class which is called use delimiter, and in that I will provide the character dash. So what this scanner does, what this method does basically is it finds all the dashes in the string ISBN. So let's assume this was the input. The use delimiter function will find all the dashes, okay, and then it will break and store these numbers separately. Okay, so it will store the values separately. How can I now retrieve them? I can say parts dot next int. Why next int? Because this is a number. Okay, so I have how many numbers now after the string was broken? 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 sets of numbers, so I can write the same method 4 times because there are 4 items to be read. If I write it more than 4 times, I will get an error because there was only 4 pieces of information that were retrieved. Now each of them, I can store them somewhere. So for example, I can say the first one is for language, so int language is equal to parts.nextInt. Int publisher is parts.nextInt. Int book is parts.nextInt, and int check is parts.nextInt. I could have directly used them in the print statement, but let's assume the code was longer than this and you had to do other things with the information that was retrieved. In that case, the best scenario is to store them in different variables. Now finally you can print them as shown. So system.out.println, instead of 1 it should be language. System.out.println publisher, instead of the number it should be publisher. Then for the book, system.out.println instead of the number book. And then finally for check, system.out.println instead of the number check, semicolon. So now if you check, it should work. Okay, so wherever it finds the dash, it breaks it into different parts, and then you can read those parts depending on the type of data that is stored. If this was some like text, then you would just use next instead of nextInt. Okay, all right, so I think that's it for this lab. I hope it was helpful. Again, you have to once you're done with it, you can submit, and that will be your final grade. And then after that, you can practice it as many times as you possibly can. And I recommend it especially to the beginners, because the only way to become a programmer is to keep practicing. If you don't practice, you will not become better. So make sure that you practice, and it will also help you in your exam as well. So yeah, that's it. Enjoy and have a good day. Bye.